The biggest overwhelming motivator for me is my last name, is Matthews. It's a very famous name, and it's not because I earned that. I was born into it. My grandfather played in the NFL, my father for 19 years, my uncle for 19 years, 2 of my brothers, 4 of my cousins. So all I knew was I was the first Matthews who had failed to go to the NFL and have a career. And so I felt like a loser. I felt like a fail. I still feel that way. Like right now sitting here, I'm like, man, I'm really a fucking loser. Like,
really?
Oh,
you
yeah.
really feel that?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. But you're massively successful. When I had the dream get taken away from me when I broke my back, that's still.
You sit and watch a football game, and I guarantee you somewhere in there is like, if you didn't break your back, that would have been you.
Well, that's why I don't watch football.
Yeah, because it's too painful.
It's too painful.
Yeah.
I'm so delusional. I literally think like I can do it now. You know what I mean?
No.
It never goes away. Like,
everyone.
You know?
I watch the games like, dude, I could have made that play.
Exactly.
But dude, when you hit 40, it's like you turn around and start walking backwards and you look back at your life. What has my legacy been about? What have I accomplished? Something I've done with my kids and my wife gives me credit for is, I talk to my kids like, hey, you got to get better today. You got to get better. Even if you're the best, you got to get better because your competition, whether it's in school, whether it's in sports, whatever it is always looking to close the gap. We'll be driving and I'll see someone run. I say, yo, you see that? That guy's getting better. You see that? He's getting better. And so I tell people at the office, like, we go deep at Matthews, man. Like, and I'm just like, hey, like, create a legacy for your family so your kid has expectations. If I can get them to agree that expectations are actually a good thing, think about how meaningful it is to your son or daughter when they're 20 years old and they're going to get an internship and all of a sudden they meet someone in real estate and they're like, oh, you're so-and-so's kid? Dude, your dad was a beast. Your mom's a savage. Like, wow, all right, hey, you got some big shoes to fill. Like, dude, that's the best thing you could ever give them. Because that, at least for me, was the greatest motivator. So a lot of people, if you plan on having children, which a lot of people do, one of the best things you could give them is a great name and high expectations. They're gonna respond and try and live up to them.
I'm Manning Sumner. I've lived my life by one motto, no days off. No days off is never taking a day off on you. It's a commitment to becoming your best self. Get ready to be inspired to do the same. This is the Big Dawgs with Manning Sumner. We on the sauce yet? Like, did you get some? No. Come on, bro. What are you doing?
Dude, this guy got in my head. Like,
well, you told me your testosterone stuff. It's like, come on now. All right, are we live?
No, but dude, we are
live?
Yeah.
Okay, this is perfect.
I'm gonna buy one of those red light things.
You know what's funny? So I have to tell you this because the experience with you was great. But it was so funny because the breakfast was basically what I thought the podcast was going to be. Yeah. So like I had so much fun to the breakfast, like just shooting the shit. So I hope that this is what this is today. Yeah. And then the podcast was a little bit all serious and shit. I was like, we gotta get him some testosterone to loosen up a little bit. But no, I'm just kidding.
That wouldn't loosen me up. That'd
probably make you more
strong. Yeah, dude, I don't need to be more high.
And then
strong.
I came home and I was like really, because my wife's been on my ass about Nashville and moving to Nashville, and just the thing you said about like feeling like a man, like being able to go in the yard and
be outside.
Yeah, it was just it was definitely something to kind of hang on to. So tell us a little about from moving from LA to Nashville and how that had the good and the bad, that just that transition.
Yeah, so, I'll give you a little backstory.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, grew up in LA primarily, but also Cleveland, Ohio, because my dad's job, he played in the NFL. So we'd be in Cleveland when he was playing with the Browns, but as soon as the season was over, we'd go back to LA. So generally grew up in LA, but I have a lot of great memories from Cleveland. LA, high school, then played football at SC in LA in college, went right into real estate in LA out of college. So just kind of LA my whole life. Loved living there. I think what we were talking about that led to that part of the conversation was, especially when my wife and I, when we started building a family and having children, your relationship with your community, your surroundings, and to a degree, what your needs and wants are from where you live, they start to change, they start to evolve. So when you're 25 and it's just you and your wife and you're building a business, you're building your career, but it's about good restaurants and bars and
networking.
You know, the networking. Yeah,
Right.
no, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Like certainly business community is huge. And so LA was perfect. It couldn't have been better. And what my wife and I say is like seasons of our life. For that season of our life, for like building our careers and even initially building a family, it was perfect. But then we had 3 kids at the time, you know, and they were probably like 7, 4, and 1. And you start to think about what, again, between needs and wants, what are the needs or what are the wants from where we live? And it just starts to change. And so that was really the catalyst, that and then the professional, the travel from LA to New York to Chicago to Dallas to Miami to DC, just heading east, all 3, 4, 5-hour plane flights, and you're 2 to 3 time zones away. And
You were traveling a lot back then?
a lot, yeah, because I had founded this company in 2015. In like this time period, 17, 18, when we started to think about making the move, I'm traveling as we're opening up offices or doing big meetings or going to conferences. So much of the financial center is, you know, in the Eastern time zone, specifically New York. So you just started getting worn down, and having 3 kids will wear you down, and then scaling a business will wear you down. And so, you know, that was the driver. Was there's a professional kind of quality of life, and then there was like, what if I can, to what degree I can do this, but what would I like the community or the surroundings to increase the probabilities that we raise mentally tough, self-reliant, you know, kids who can take care of themselves. Because one of the things I've told people, and this is, again, a conversation my wife and I had, is like, we could be worth $1 billion one day, but if our kids are struggling, it's going to be hard for us to be happy, right? And
that happens a lot.
It happens a lot. And so, and conversely, I don't want this to happen. I could lose all my money. I could have $1 in the bank.
Right.
I hope it doesn't happen. But if my 4 children now are self-reliant, you know, they taking care of themselves, you know, they're able to overcome adversity and respond to life's challenges, my wife and I, we think we could find a way to be happy with that. Hopefully, again, they're not mutually exclusive. So having financial independence and
having both
kids would be
right.
ideal. So we started to say, okay, what community, what city, what place would increase the probabilities that happens? And that's just kind of how we ended up settling in Nashville. We felt it was a perfect combination of a city with buzz, with energy. It's obviously not South Florida, Miami's like its own monster. New York, LA, they're all amazing cities. Like, we didn't want to go move into the middle of nowhere, but we wanted to get more of that cliche kind of small town feel. And that's ultimately what led us to Nashville in 2019. And that was kind of from a timing perspective, lucky, because
I was about to say, I mean, that's
2020
crazy.
hits, 2020 hits,
You would
and
not want to be in
COVID
LA
hits.
during 2020.
No. 2020 hits, and then we saw what was happening with how the government, both at a local, state level in California, handled the pandemic, and then versus Tennessee. And again, people have different opinions on this. My opinion was consistent with Tennessee's opinion. I'm generalizing here. Was like, hey, you're an adult. You can make decisions for yourself. If you're worried about, COVID and all that, stay indoors, mask up. That's all good. And if you want to take the risk going outside getting it, you can do that too. We'll give you the option. You're an individual.
Instead of getting arrested on the beach.
Instead of just some of the things that happen in LA. And keep in mind, I had offices in Los Angeles, multiple offices. I have offices all over. So even from a
so y'all are global.
Not
real
global,
estate?
national.
You're national.
Yeah.
So every state or pretty much almost? But.
No, like 30 offices,
wow.
Almost every big city, like football cities is probably the best way I could describe it. So, but managing those offices individually were very different. Some offices just open up. Others, there were so many things we had to do, and it took so long to open up. But anyway, getting back to your initial question, we made the move in 2019, loved it right away. And then by 2020, we saw what happened, and we were like, this was the right thing.
Perfect.
Then what you touched on was, in Los Angeles, we have a beautiful home, but it's on, an eighth of an acre, down by the beach. Again, gorgeous home, loved the home, loved the neighbors and the community. But we went to Tennessee, bought 50 acres, and with space and privacy and all that. But I tell you, there's something about I think I call it working the land. Now it's a farm, but we're not farmers, right. Unfortunately. But you go out and you walk the land, tree falls over you, chainsaw, stack the wood, split the wood. We have a really big garden, and it just there's something very cathartic, very therapeutic about being out there and
getting your hands dirty.
Getting your hands dirty, getting your, you just being out there. And I really think it's medicine for the soul.
Well, it reminds me of my dad used to have, outdoor chores. So we grew up in Alabama. We didn't have 50 acres, but we lived on.
We only move around about 5 acres. The other 45 is just
still, that's amazing. But we had about 2.5 acres. I mean, we had a really nice land, and we used to, I'd pretend like I was Rambo and go out. But he would make us mow the lawn and do the leaves and stuff like that. And I remember it being therapeutic, Like you'd be mowing the lawn and you get done and your shirt was off and you felt good about yourself.
You feel good. And you wear Apple Watch, you wear a Fitbit, you go out and we call it yard work. You go do yard work for 3 hours, you come back and it is, again, heart rate is probably not going to hit what you'll hit here.
Right.
But in terms of total calorie burn, it's a hell of a workout.
Especially if you're chopping wood.
You're chopping wood, you're lifting things. And just the way Tennessee is, it's hilly. So just walking up hills, but it's been great. We love it.
And you're in Franklin?
Franklin, yeah.
So I've got 2 close friends that live in Franklin. So Gunnar Peterson, that I still think you should have on your podcast.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll connect y'all today, actually. Yeah. And then Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
Who also could be on your podcast too. So
sign him up, Zach.
Yeah. You should write that down. But I'll connect y'all for sure.
Zach doesn't write anything down.
No. And why are you here in Miami?
All right, 2 things. So again, I try and tie in professional and personal as much as possible. So professional, we have meetings. We have an office here in Fort Lauderdale, so go see the agents at Matthews. So Matthews Real Estate Investment Service, Matthews, what we call it. It's a company I founded in 2015, commercial real estate brokerage. So service company, predominantly sales, leasing, and debt origination. We have an office here in Fort Lauderdale. There's about 30 agents there. We have about 800 around the country, 800 agents, 30 offices. So I go there.
It's a lot of growth in 10 years.
It's a lot of growth, yeah.
What do you think is the reason behind that? Was that intentional to grow that big, that fast? Because that is fast.
Yeah, yes and no. Certainly, growth was intentional.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, if we went back 10 years, let alone 5 years, and said, hey, 5 years from now, the company's going to be at the scale it is today, I'd say that's not possible. It's a testament to waking up before your competition, right? It's a testament to having really great teammates, especially, and it's not just that's certainly a saying as a CEO. You're it's like athletes. I want to thank my team. No, but literally I can only be in one place. And if we have 30 offices, that means there's 29 offices that physically I'm not at, and mentally and emotionally I might not be at for.
But break that down just a little bit, because I love this part of business. So let's just pretend like you're opening up a new office.
Yeah.
What's the system?
Yeah, well, the first
you know what
thing,
I mean? Is it you go get your best person and move them there, or is it I'm gonna hire? You know what I mean? What's the system to be able? Because obviously it's working.
Yeah.
You must have a system, because otherwise it wouldn't be working. So what do you think is the formula for this?
I ain't got a system. I'm making shit up every day. Man. Early, you just met. You're like,
no, I know.
That's a big
city. But eventually
city.
it gets a decade. You've got something working.
You figure it out to a degree, and every day we're learning. The answer to your question is, the first thing we do is we look at a market that we're not in, and we size its stock and velocity. Stock is the number of buildings. Velocity is the number of times they turn over a year in sales and or refinance debt origination. And then we see what markets have a pretty large degree of number of buildings within, kind of the middle market space we work. And then we see what the velocity is. And we try and go where velocity and buildings turn. So we're like, okay, this market, this is where we want to be. Then we identify either someone in the market already, someone that might be at another company, someone that we've built a relationship over the years, maybe doing deals with. And we have those conversations, say, hey, would you come over and actually open this office and lead it from an executive leadership standpoint, from a management standpoint?
Now, is that considered poaching?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, poaching. Yeah, I don't like the word poaching.
I don't either. That's why I said
it. Because it suggests you own people.
Right, exactly,
and it's the concept. So in Tennessee is a big hunting state. It's he was poaching on my land and I own this land, therefore I own the animals. And
that's ridiculous.
Doesn't exist in business. And so I'd call it talent acquisition or recruiting.
Okay.
And so we'll have those conversations. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes like it's just perfect, right place, right time. Someone's looking for a leadership opportunity. Someone's looking for, you know, the ability to take another step in their career, and at their company for whatever reason, that upward mobility doesn't exist. But a lot of times it's just homegrown talent where, you know, we have an individual, often a young in their career individual that we identify from a leadership quality, they have it, and it's just then it's teaching them, you know, kind of the basics of how we open offices, how we lead, you know, kind of the Matthews University, the training of our agents, and we'll do a 2-year program in one of our offices, then we'll deploy them into the market. And again, it's ideally it's someone from the region, from the area, even from the city. And so,
does every office have like certain what's the word I'm looking for? Hierarchy, like is there like a not CEO because you're the CEO, but is there, you know what I mean? Like someone in each city that's kind of the top dog.
Yes.
And then
so there's someone who runs the office. It's called a market leader. And then as they get promoted, they become, as they move up in their career, a managing director, right?
Okay.
And they run the office. And the way I coach them is like, imagine you're the CEO of a real estate company, and it's a company that has one office with between 30 to 70 people. Because that's usually...
Is there an extension of you, basically?
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. And so their compensation, there's base, there's bonus, but they also get compensated from the net income of the office. There's the potential equity compensation. So it's not just do it because you should want to be good at something. It's do it because there's a financial incentive to it. And so above them is then the regional presidents, and then above them is a president, and then the CEO.
The big
so yeah, the big daddy. Yeah.
Then the boss.
Then the boss. Yeah.
Don't you hate that word? I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Chief and boss. I get it all the time. I'm like, why are you calling me this?
Yeah. And then there's the person who runs the office, and then I always like that's the head coach, right? And then there's the GM and the owner, right? So the head coach of the office, and then they got their players, and those are the agents. And some markets are smaller; they might have 25 to 35 agents. Just depends on what a market can support. And then the big markets like South Florida, I mean, you'll probably have multiple offices here. New York, I mean, you could have 150 agents in an office like that. And
so you have Fort Lauderdale. Does Fort Lauderdale service South Florida?
Right now, but again, like a lot of it is kind of the north end of South Florida.
Okay.
We're in a sense turning our attention to Miami and opening. It's just you
have to, like,
yeah. Well, you have to.
New York.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's wild, like what's going on
it's
down
insane.
here. So, yeah, it's exciting. I love being down here. I always try and time my trips from like October to April. You know.
There you go.
So I get out of the cold,
better
but
weather. Yeah,
the better the weather.
I mean, today's a special day.
It's a great day.
I mean, it's a crazy. Mariana, you probably can attest to this. Like, when it's 80 degrees in Miami, it's like heaven, you know. But if you're 80 in Nashville, it's probably hot, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But you know what I mean? Like 80 in Miami is like heaven.
Yeah, and if you're close enough, you get the breeze, which is nice.
No, it's 80 with that breeze,
yeah.
and then it's like it's similar to LA, you know. It's like gives you those LA vibes, which you can't beat LA weather.
No, that is
that's the one thing they will always have.
They can't screw up the weather.
Yeah, they can't. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, man,
Newsom might be able to screw up something.
Newsom,
that guy,
he ain't got that power.
He's a special dude.
Yeah.
We won't get into politics, but.
Well, see, you know, liberals own buildings too. So.
Yeah, exactly. Liberals buy gym memberships. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
We
right.
love you. We love you.
Yeah, I know. I have a podcast, Matthew's Mentality Podcast. I'd love to have Newsom on, like, and
that would be entertaining.
No, because my first thing is like, I grew up in LA.
Right.
LA to the bone. I loved LA. And like, I still am crazy nostalgic to like the 90s, early 2000s LA that I got to know, which was a weird, eclectic place, but there was a place for everybody. Mm-hmm. And it was in a very good way, very just a diverse community. It was awesome, dude. It was awesome. The Lakers were winning. SC was winning. Red Hot Chili Peppers doing the thing.
That was
and
so, good times.
But eventually, as I touched on her, as I built a family, and again, this is an opinion. It may work for me, it might not work for the next person, but like I felt that it would be best to take my family somewhere else. And so the conversation I have with Newsom is like, tell me what did I miss? Like, why was I wrong? Like, sell me on coming back. Like, tell me why my opinion or my, you know, my belief system as it relates to like what was happening is wrong. And like, cause I'm the problem is people like me are leaving on average, and that's not a good thing.
A lot.
Yeah. And they're going to markets like Florida or Texas or Arizona, and just, Carolinas, Nashville's like every day someone's moving from LA, New York, Chicago, and there's a big kind of like migration within the U.S. happening, and I have seen Governor Newsom out doing podcasts and doing interviews like, hey, what you're hearing about California is not true. It's misinformation. Like, you're wrong. Like, tell me where I'm wrong. I'd love to come back, but
have your stats ready though, because that's what gets me is like, he's a phenomenal talker. Like,
he's a great salesman. He should have been a real estate broker. He would have crushed it.
Phenomenal.
He would have been a lot more successful.
He often misquotes the actual data.
That's what I was going to say. The thing with stats and data is it just who's the data can be manipulated. So
that too, yeah.
You could look at the.
Because I always laugh when like they say, well, the survey said, like, when's the last time you actually filled out a survey?
Yeah.
Like,
a survey, yeah.
You know what I mean? I throw that stuff in the trash.
Yeah, politicians on both sides. Like, well, there's studies. There's like you paid for the study. So.
Exactly. Well, that too. A lot of studies, especially when it has to do with drugs.
No, the weather in California, the people. As so close friends and family, that was the hard part. And then I was blessed, like, because I made the move, not just thinking, okay, my wife and I are going to Nashville. We really didn't know anyone. We just felt like Nashville really was that perfect blend that I touched on. And then, like I said, COVID hits. And then 12 months after that, I got 3 brothers. One was in Ohio, but my other 2 are still in LA. They called and were like, hey, like, we're coming out to Nashville, we're looking at homes. And then they moved out. And so now, like, I got the whole family around. My parents are looking at a spot.
Oh, that's amazing.
Now my sister, my other brother talked about moving down. And so, like, the whole Matthews clan is like, was LA as LA gets, be in Nashville now. So we love Nashville. But again, LA was great for the season of our life that we were out there. Right. And Nashville's been awesome too. And
then what else you got going on in Miami while you're here? So
then, yeah, good question. So then I'm recording a podcast with Coach Ogeron, Coach O.
That's gonna go.
Yeah. So that'll be a good one. That one might run a little long,
and
Zach.
He coached you?
He coached me at USC. He obviously was a head coach. I think Ole Miss and then LSU where he won a natty.
Yes.
And but he was coached at SC, and that's where I got to know. He coached at the Hurricanes back in the, I think, late 80s to mid 90s.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, okay.
That's where he got his start. Like, he coached Warren Sapp and all those guys.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think that's why he got his boys. He's got 2 twin boys. I remember them at SC. They're like little 4 or 5-year-olds running around, like, wrestling with each other after practice. But now they're coaches at the University of Miami on the coaching staff. So I connected with Coach O to coordinate when we were down here to do a podcast. And then my son, Brody, he plays high school football up in Nashville, he's going to come down Friday night and join me. And then we're going to go watch the Hurricanes play Stanford, I think, Saturday. And so Coach O is going to hang with us. And then they're...
and he's not coaching right now?
No, he's not coaching. But again, my understanding is he's had a nice couple years off. He's in great shape. Probably doesn't need the money, but he loves coaching. That's what he's put on this earth.
He's a coach. He's the
he was put on this earth to coach, especially specifically defense and D-line. There's no one better than him. And if you look at his track record, I'll do a little pitch for him. He was at Miami, they won a national championship. He was at USC, they won a national championship. He was at LSU, he won a national. The dude wins wherever he goes. Now he's intense, but this is football, dog. Like, it's
What
funny.
do you think of the state of football today? Like, where with everything that the rule changes, the NIL,
Yeah. Well, there's like 2 different answers within that, so I'll unpack it. First is the NIL. So, and it's funny, I just had this conversation at breakfast. I was for players getting paid. I didn't like the idea. I love traditional college football, but I can't cherry pick what my values are based on when they're convenient for me. And one of my values is free market capitalism, is meritocracy, and it is if you have a talent and someone's willing to pay you for it within the law, you should get paid. And in football, that was not the case. And these are adults. And what I'd liken it to is if you're the #1 law student at Harvard Law and you're a sophomore in college and you're just this brilliant mind, nothing stops, and let's say I run a really great litigation firm, nothing stops me from recruiting you to come work for me in the summer and I can pay you. And there's no, like, you don't lose your eligibility, you can make money, you can monetize your skill set, which is, your mind is amazing as it relates to the law. These guys from athletics, like they are uniquely talented. It is what it is. But they were told they're not allowed to be compensated. And then there's a social dynamic in there that a lot of at least my teammates at USC and probably your teammates at Auburn, they come from backgrounds, inner city backgrounds, like communities, like where oftentimes they're not coming from families that have generational wealth. This was not my dad played in the NFL. This was not my story, but most of my teammates from USC weren't coming from places that had any money, and you just took away 3 to 4 years of their earning potential. And it didn't feel right. And as much as growing up, the idea of like amateur status and college athletes shouldn't get paid because it's going to lead to what it is now, which I don't like. I can't say, well, here's my values unless it's inconvenient, therefore it's not my values. And my value is if someone is an adult and they are the best at what they do and someone's willing to pay them, again, to do something legally within the law, which is play football, they should be able to do that. And so I support athletes getting paid in college, no different than I support athletes getting paid in the NFL. What I don't like, and this is just my perception of what happened, is the NCAA basically ran like a human cartel for 50 years, like like indentured servitude pyramid scheme where free labor, cheap labor, okay, they had a scholarship. And when they finally realized they were going to lose that honeypot, they didn't like say, okay, let's work through this and we'll figure out. No, they're like, here you go, we're out, see ya. Like, you guys figure it out. And so conferences, teams, like they have no guidance. Some teams are like, okay, we're going to get super aggressive with paying players. Other teams, like my Trojans, they were, well, we got to be real careful here. And like you have this like crazy disruption that's happened. To a degree, that saying, oh, the inmates run the prison. Well, like they turn the prison over to the inmates. Well, even the inmates eventually like, hey, we need structure. We need order. And so now you're seeing conferences effectively take control, especially the SEC and the Big Ten, and say, okay, we're going to start creating guardrails and figure out how we can make this a somewhat stable product for the fan base so that the money keeps coming in. And I think what you'll eventually see it get to is just, it's a lot like the NFL. There'll be two massive conferences. I think eventually the Big Ten and the SEC will take whatever 3 or 4 teams from the ACC, from the Big 12, anyone else. They're going to consolidate into 2 big conferences, much like the AFC and the NFC, and then they'll have their playoff. And and again, for guys like you and I who grew up in a different system, we'll be those guys like, man, back in the day it was better, but 30, 40, 50 years from now, as the next generation, this is all they know. They're like, yeah, this is college football and it's cool. So I support players getting paid. The product on the field right now, they have to figure out some sort of salary cap. Again, not to go against that players should get paid what they get paid, free market, to create a competitive sport, or else what are the 5 schools that raise the most money right now? Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, maybe LSU, maybe USC. They're just going to keep winning because if you have more money, look at baseball, Dodgers and Yankees. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean they win the World Series every year, but they're damn close to being in it every year. And that's what I think college football is right now. But again, hopefully they figure it out.
Well, I agree with you on, I don't mind the players getting paid, but I think the portal is the problem.
The portal's a big problem.
I think that's the biggest issue. No, it's not people getting paid. It's the people leaving every 5 seconds.
Nobody's disagreeing with you. Here's the challenge with the portal. Because even I was like, what is this? How could you leave a team? The problem is because you're connected to schools, some schools are on semesters and some schools are on quarter system. And it creates these, if you say you can only transfer after the bowl season, well, the semesters, you're 3 weeks into a semester at the school and you still have to be a student, and that puts you in a really tough position. So they're trying to give the players multiple opportunities to transfer so that academically they can set them up to be successful in school. But
that's a whole nother topic on the actual school. Because of the kids getting $3 million a year.
Look, the game itself, football, I think I understand what they're doing, trying to protect the head. It's tough because I do support trying to be caught. I like the elimination of blindside crackback blocks as a defender because I took my fair share from receivers cracking and
one of the biggest hits I ever had in my career was a wide receiver that was 170 pounds. Yeah, they just lit me up. You don't see them.
I took 2 or 3 of those, and I'm glad nobody has to suffer through that. Yeah. I think again, it's all about money, chase money. Why are they doing that? Is they want to show that they're trying to solve for CTE so that people don't feel guilty watching football or supporting it. So always follow the money. the money in football is quarterbacks. That's where I thought it's gotten insane. The protection they're providing quarterbacks is beyond inequitable. Like, you can't touch a quarterback and you're like, dude, they are a football player. So again, a late hit's a late hit. You know, if you see someone targeting, fine, but it just got to this point where like it's hard to tackle a quarterback in the act of trying to sack them and not get a penalty.
And you're going 90 miles an hour.
Which, by the way, in the NFL, that costs you money.
Right.
That'll be interesting in college because now they're getting paid. How long before they start finding them? I don't think they will. But in the NFL, that'll cost you money. And there was one of my younger brothers, Clay, had a season where it just seemed like there was like this 3 or 4 game stretch where like he got called for a personal foul, like roughing the quarterback. And dude, it was insane. And I'm not just saying that because I'm his brother. Obviously, I'm biased, but he like landed on the quarterback. It just was like it got to the point where it was like, I don't want to watch this game right now. So I do think they need to peel back from protecting quarterbacks. But if you're the NFL and it's about money, you do anything you can to keep Patrick Mahomes playing, or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or whoever it is, especially with mobile quarterbacks. Right. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's in the numbers. The NFL and college football's viewership keeps increasing. So whatever they're doing, it's a business and it's working. Yeah. You know, when the revenue and the net income is up and to the right, it's hard to be mad at the CEO.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And you see the NBA going the other way, right?
NBA, yeah. So, did you see what happened today? Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
I was sitting. I got here a little early. I was sitting. I was like, oh damn! Like the FBI.
And now I can't keep up with it because you know when those kind of announcements happen, there's so much fake news too that goes up. So trying to keep up with it is like, all right, what really happened?
Yeah, just to frame it, a head coach of an NBA team was just arrested.
Chauncey Billups, right?
Was just arrested by the FBI for like gambling on NBA, like fixing games or something.
See, I thought it was they had a stake in a casino and they rigged the casino.
They might have. Yeah. See, this is how fake news was.
So I was under the impression what I read was Chauncey Billups and some other players had a casino and they rigged the casino with like weighted dice and magnetic cards, like stuff like that. Then I heard that Terry Rozier from the Miami Heat, he actually was with another player was like game fixing.
You're probably right.
So I think it's two different.
Oh, there's two different
FBI things.
See, this is how.
Did you read about it, Mariana?
See, I'm spreading misinformation. I saw.
And I don't know. I don't even know if I'm right because that's what I meant. That's why I'm confused.
So I saw head coach, and then I saw highlights of a player, and it showed him like dribbling the basketball off his foot. I was like, oh, that dude's guilty.
And I even saw a headline like LeBron James is, and I'm like, all right, what? LeBron didn't do anything.
He's too rich to have to do that.
Yeah. So it's those kind of things. They people run with it and they just start making up stories. So it'll be interesting to see what actually happened though. So, all right. So you got that podcast. Then what else? Because I know you said you have another podcast, right? That you're doing?
Yeah. While you're here? We're doing another podcast where I'm going on theirs. And then Saturday we'll go to the game. I'll hang out with my son and he's bringing a friend down Saturday.
Is the whole family here?
No. Okay. They're, just my son. Like, it's tough to travel with 4 kids, man.
That's a lot.
And he's 14, almost 15, but like, it's just hard to bring a bunch of kids somewhere for like 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll hang out, we'll go to the game, and then Sunday head back home, back to work, back to life.
Yeah. And how's it been with the growth? And now you're in year 10, and you're the top of the top dog. Like, give me a little insight on. I've heard you talk about things like. A and B, C players. I've heard you talk about stuff like, instant versus delayed gratification. Give me a little insight on being a CEO of such a massive company.
That's a good question because it's very different than being a CEO of a small company. Like anything, there's pluses and minuses, right? And I would say the hardest part of being the CEO of a big company is you feel like you can't effectuate change. Like when you're the CEO of a small company, and for me it was 1 or 2 offices, like I knew everyone. If I wanted to see something, if I said, hey, I want to install this new strategy, I want our agents to use a new interest generator, right? It just like I would introduce it at the Monday morning meeting here, then I'd drive down later and go to the other office, and like everyone heard it. It was efficient. You could see results quick. I always like equate it. It's like you're driving like a swift boat, man, like a jet boat. You turn it, it turns quick, right? And you hit the gas, you feel it right away. When you got close to 1,000 people, it feels like, and I've never done this, but like, roll with me here. It feels like you're driving like a one of those Carnival cruise things. Like you go to turn, like you got to think about the turn, way in advance. You start the turn, it's super slow. You're like, are you even making progress? The horizon looks like it's not moving, but you're carrying a lot of people. And so that's the challenge is a lot of the decisions, the initiatives, the plans, and ultimately what's most important, the ability to inspire my teammates to execute my vision, my plan, or my decisions. You just don't know if you're doing a good job until it's, for 12, 18, 24 months. And even then when I'm like, okay, we're going to roll out this new initiative, and let's say God is good, 24 months later, like we're doing really well. Even then I'm like, was that because of my decision and my ability, or was it just the market helped us, or just these guys are uniquely talented?
Right.
And so you're just constantly like, am I doing anything that matters? Like, what do I, like, am I making a difference? As opposed to when you're small, you feel it. Like, and if you have a bad week, you come back the next Monday and you're like, I'm getting in early, I'm staying. And like, you feel like you're so much in control of the progress that's being made. The challenge of when you're small, first of all, you're super capital constrained. Like there's so many opportunities. You don't have infrastructure. You don't have systems, right? And you're making shit up every day. And like there's inconsistency in that. You miss a lot of windows of opportunity. Every day for potential clients, you're having to like sell your story and just convince them to take a shot on something new. But when you're big and you're, in many ways an established brand, a known brand, like there's so many doors that are open to you that weren't open 10 years ago. And so being the CEO of a big company and having a big company, there are pluses and minuses to being the CEO of a small company. I think I said earlier, absent makes the heart grow fond. Like everything in life 10 years ago seems way better than it probably was. Like, there are days where I'm like, man, remember back in the day, we only had one office and like, so it's just like 15 guys and gals, like, oh, dude, that was amazing. But like, I don't know, 10 years ago when I was in that, I don't think it was as amazing as I thought it was. Right. Like, it probably sucked.
Yeah.
I
actually don't say that. So when I don't go like, remember that time we were in the no AC garage? Other members do. Like, other people celebrate
our first office, we called it the casino because like it was the only space we could afford. So it was at the bottom floor, almost dug into a bunker. So only one side of the wall had windows and they were just like at the top of the thing. And the problem was there was a big parking garage like 10 feet across. So there was no light.
Oh God.
There were no windows. And like I joked as a casino, like
dungeon.
There are no clocks, so they didn't know what time it was. And we pumped oxygen in to keep them on. No, I'm just joking. Like, didn't they say casinos do that?
Yeah,
like,
I've heard that.
No, so the office it sucked. But anytime I talked to someone at Matthews who was there 10 years ago, like, dude, I miss those days. I was like, I don't think you do. Cause like
they love saying it though. They
yeah.
love
well,
saying
no,
it.
I think it's one of the unique blessings of being human is like pain fades, man. And like somehow like the worst things you ever go through outside of death, the worst things you ever go through in terms of adversity, like if you find yourself talking, all of a sudden you start smiling. Do you remember that time like 15 years ago, we had that really terrible thing happen to us? It was and you start smiling. You're like, I don't think it was that great when it happened, but there's something about like the further away you get from something, I think part of whatever it is in your brain that makes you smile thinking about it is you're actually experiencing some sort of joy in your brain that you actually overcame that or that you actually have progressed and that it truly is better today, even though that memory seems better. So I want to make sure I answer your question. Like being a CEO today, certainly there's pluses and minuses. I would say the actual realities of my day is it gets down to direct reports, like how many direct reports do you have? And so in any given week, if I have effectively 8 direct reports, like which is basically the C-suite and some regional presidents, I talk to every one of them at least once a week. And some are in my office, some aren't. Right. So whether it's a phone call or Zoom call or a person. And usually I have one scheduled, but then oftentimes sometimes it'll be 2, sometimes it'll be 5 times a week. And then the people, the 30, 40 people report to them, like what's called skip level conversation, or skip level communication. Like sometimes I'll skip them and go straight to them and just like, hey, what are you seeing? Because I want to hear it from the source. I'm not a general, but like if I were to say like, hey, I'm a general, I actually want to talk to the troops sometimes and like actually hear it from them, because sometimes you'll miss something if that information's curated through a funnel.
That was actually my next question was like, what are the moments where you literally feel like you got to jump on a plane and like show face?
Luckily, real estate, compared to like, other financial service industries like Wall Street, it just doesn't move that fast. So very rarely is it like, I need to jump on a plane and immediately go put out a fire. Okay. And I don't bat 1,000 in this sense, but like, if I had to do that, then the person I've put in charge of that is likely not the right person. Right. I've been blessed to more often than not pick well or develop well and hire well. So I haven't had any fires that I have to put out. So I've been very lucky in that sense, if you think about it. And so I would say that from a market perspective, the most insane thing I had to deal with was COVID. And so that was as close as like real time actionable, like every 24 hours is its own decision cycle. But we did well through that. We gave people choice. We said, hey, we're going to open our offices really quick. It was like early May 2020. We're going to open offices, and because most of the people were wanting to get back to the office. But if you're scared, if you have a comorbidity, if you live with your grandma, like stay home, and we got your back there too. And so, yeah, I would say being the CEO of a CEO. So we're private, we're not public. So I don't have earnings calls. I don't have a board. I don't have investors I need to report to. And there's benefits of having that, mainly just like massive amounts of cheap capital. The downside is so much time is spent basically communicating to that it's very inefficient. See, me, I don't have to do that. So effectively 100% of my time can be on offense. And that's what I like about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, definitely. I actually it's very similar to I'm not on your level as far as size, but as far as going from, 1 gym to 8 gyms, going from no beverage company to a beverage company, like the growth. Yeah. Oftentimes you ask yourself, like, am I really making a difference into this staff member that I've only met once? Yeah. Whereas I used to be in their face like all day long. So
here's what I would tell you based on my experience. When you have 1, 2, 3 offices or gyms in your business, you don't need systems and or even scalable systems, because you can still get to everything and individually affect people positively, ideally, to where they can do the job well. But when you're 10, 20, 50 locations, a gym could be hundreds, but like in my case, 30 offices, what's allowed us to scale beyond a couple offices was, and it wasn't necessarily initiative. We just kind of, I guess, just thought that we needed to do this, was create scalable systems. So that financial systems, like revenue tracking systems, payment tracking systems. The biggest system that I'm referring to is actually our Matthews University, our agent development system, like our coaching system. And it's Matthews University, like both the summer training schedule and the off-season training schedule. It's 105 modules. It's, there's knowledge retention quizzes and tests after, and it's all that way, like to the best of my abilities. I know that in offices that I might not see go into an office, for 12 months, but like they generally pretty consistent. Like if I were to walk in, I were to talk to the agents, I could say, okay, that's a Matthews agent. Like they're saying the same thing, they're pitching the same style, they're communicating in a similar manner as agents in other offices. And so that based on my experience, in order to really scale a company, you have to create scalable systems. Yeah. And what is a system? Like there's a lot of things. There's like, again, the finance side. There's for you, it'd be like, okay, what is the system and what is the training for all of our individual trainers, so that no matter what legacy gym you went to, like they're just like, that's a legacy trainer, because like they all speak the same language, they all operate to a degree on the same program, they're held accountable the same way, they're coached the same way, they develop the same way, and that's really allowed us to scale for sure. So yesterday I get a text from Allison, who's part of the team, and She goes, hey, this guy says he's here to see you. He's one of your professors from USC. And he says he has a meeting with you. I'm in Miami. And like, there's certain things in my life that'll slip through the cracks, but like my schedule, like I'm like, that can't be right. And the picture was far enough away. It was like gray hair, gentleman, mid-60s probably. I was like, fuck, like how did we miss this? So I text my executive assistant, Sonia. I was like, hey, Sonia, this guy. And she goes, that can't be right. Like, and Sonia was out doing something with her car. She's like, I'll get back to the office in 15. I was like, okay. And then Allison's like, hey, now he's in your office. Like he's asking to see your office. So there's a picture of him in my office. And it's like, hey, he just took the liberty to like get himself a drink. Now he's sitting at your desk and he says he's not going to leave until someone talks to him. And
someone's busting your balls, right?
So I knew something was up.
Yeah.
Now I thought it was a real person, but I knew something was up because I was like, a professor at USC, there's no way, because like I didn't go to class enough for a professor.
Nobody cared.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I got like a 3.1 at SC, so I was pretty solid. In my defense.
But you weren't close to any professors that would come visit you in Nashville.
No, one actually I was pretty close with. He passed away, but like, no, not this guy. So then I'm thinking it's some guy who's telling these guys that he's my professor, but it's like some old client. He's just messing with me. And so I didn't recognize him. And I just texted her. I said, hey, listen, like treat him like a guest, be polite, be respectful, like let him do it. But I was like, but no, I don't know who this guy is. Then they tell me, it's all a big prank. They were using AI to generate images of someone who looks like a professor. And like, dude, these are real images. Like the guy was in my office sitting at my desk. Like,
all right, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But it was actually a good look on me because I was so nice. Like, and
I don't think I would have been that nice, honestly. If my staff was sending me pictures of some random dude sitting at my desk, I probably would have been like,
yeah, dude,
get him out.
Yeah.
I was expecting a better reaction, and Kyle was like,
what do you mean a better reaction? There's no, dude. I was like, be respectful, be polite, treat him like a guest. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but like, I was like, maybe.
That's actually, it says a lot about you. You know,
that's what I'm saying. And then
it's your testosterone levels.
Later.
but like,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
a fake
hilarious.
image. That's a fake image. So later, I was like looking back at his chance, like I can't believe I was so nice. Like normally, like tell him to get the fuck out of my office.
That's what I'm saying. Especially when he sat at your desk. That's a lot.
Yeah, but
That's
I knew.
Why are you sitting at my desk?
I have a passcode on my computer, so I was like, "What is he gonna do?"
Yeah.
Like, I got some pennies in the office. I can steal
you have a
anything.
nice office too.
Yeah. Anyway,
He does. His
so now,
office is 3 times the size of this. Your office is massive.
Yeah.
You need some no days off water though in your cooler. That's the only thing.
I got you. It's me compensating, for my ego, right? No. What would be interesting to talk about would be like, cause you asked like about being a CEO and we just took a restroom break. I was thinking about it. I was like, being a CEO, there's things that are challenging enough, but like it's actually being a leader, whether it's of a football team, of a gym, of a business. And I actually was thinking about, gosh, like it's not unique. What is the hardest thing for me to deal with? And I'm about to tell you, but it actually is not unique to being a CEO. Because again, this is something you deal with. I know you do. There's something you deal with in any type of leadership position, whether you're a boss, whether you're a coach, whether you're a manager, is unfulfilled potential because of mental weakness. And what I mean by that is the biggest frustration point by far, professionally for sure, but probably personally, but professionally, is so many people fall so short of what they're capable of. And I could give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's because they don't know they're capable of it. There absolutely is some inherent truth in that, but it's because they're just mentally weak. And when it gets hard, they're just like, I don't want to do that. And my biggest exacerbation when I was an agent, when I was when I had one office, when I had 30 office, is like looking at someone and just saying like, how do you not see how great you could be? How do you, like, how I see it, like you could be for whatever your motivations are, like you could be the greatest ever. You could create all this wealth. You could be so successful. You could set your family up for generations. You could start your own charity. Whatever your motivations are that they tell me, like, hey, why are you here? Like to make money. Okay, but what is it? What do you want to do with the money? Some 22-year-olds say, I want to buy boats and planes. Like, okay, God bless. Like,
right.
But as they get older, they evolve. And again, I'm not judging motivations, but like generally probably more purposeful. Like I want to take care of my family. I want to support my parents. I want to generationally change the trajectory of my family. I want to fund charities, philanthropy, awesome. But when it starts getting difficult, which inevitably it will, it gets difficult when you're getting in shape. It gets difficult when you're running a gym. It gets difficult as a real estate agent. It gets difficult as a player. They just tap out so quickly, and there's just this like lack of inherent toughness. And at least in my industry for real estate, the job itself is not like we're not flying rockets up to space and landing them like that. I think takes a certain acuity. This is real estate, man. It's super simple. But why do so many fail? Is just because inevitably it gets hard, and then they're like, yeah, this is too hard. I'm not going to do it. I'm sure you deal with that here.
Well, no, it's exactly the same. I mean, for me, it even reminds me of back when I started being a strength coach, is that I always saw their potential. I never saw the athlete of who they were when they walked in. I saw like this clay that I could take them and mold them into what they can become. And that's the same thing with my staff. My staff comes in, they're raw, maybe they've trained for 1 year, 2 years, just depending on, their background. But I'm taking 20 something years of experience. And all I'm saying is if you take this blueprint and give me everything you got, buy all in to this, to your point earlier, the systems, everything I'm teaching you, I promise you, you will be massively successful. But yet, they don't want to put in the work. And when it gets hard, they either quit or make excuses or complain. And then they're the ones that do everything and they're successful. And it's like, and then you do and I don't know if you have to do this, and I don't like doing it because I've never been a fan of comparison, but oftentimes you have to say, well, this trainer is doing what I'm telling them to do and look at what they're making and then look at you. You're not. So it's not, I don't like that, but oftentimes I find myself doing that because I'm like, look, this is how you can succeed if you do ABC.
My management style has evolved over the years, and I would really defer to the people that I've led to really provide commentary. I don't know how accurate I could be in my own self-assessment, but here I go, is 10 years ago, I didn't like comparing people. I felt it's like you would never have your kids pit against each other. Like, oh, your brother did this for me. I may love them more. Like you would never do that. You'd love all your kids the same. And so I kind of approached that. But at the end of the day, if my job as a leader is to get the most out of someone, right? Maybe the ends do justify the means. And if that person, from an inspirational standpoint, nothing I'm saying about living their best life and maximizing their potential and doing it for the sake of them doing it and changing people's lives is going to motivate them. But they're motivated. If that guy just beats them, then maybe my job really is to ends justify the means. Then I'm just going to say, hey, this guy, he's going to sell 30 memberships or he's going to sell 30 buildings this year and you're only going to sell 20. Like, how does that make you feel? I'm not that direct about it, but over the years I have evolved where I'm much more comfortable now to highlight somebody is like, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you could do. And I've found that method, again, everybody responds differently, but that is a way to unlock some people that historically my go-to was make it just about them and what's best for them. Mm-hmm. Some people aren't activated that way. Others, you got to activate through competition.
Everybody has a different love language.
Yeah. So I was a competition guy. Like if my manager said, hey, Kyle, you should work this hard and do this much sales activity so that you could be the number one agent for you and yourself. There's some motivation there, but I'd be like, okay, yeah, no, I guess, yeah, there's motivation. But again, my original manager, Jonathan Weiss, he understood this about me, but if he just said, hey, you're doing really well, but that guy, he's doing a little better than you. I'd be I'd lose my shit, dude. Yeah. And I'd make that, I'd create a monster. I'd create that person would become like a demon in my mind. And I just I would obsess and I would just create this caricature of that person. He's judging me. He thinks he's better than me. And that's just, unfortunately, how I was wired. As I've gotten older, I've cooled off a little bit.
That's the athlete in you, Yeah,
maybe. So. But there's a lot of athletes that, don't have that.
Like LeBron.
Like LeBron definitely does, but Jordan had that. Jordan manufactured.
Right. Kobe and Jordan had it.
Kobe and Jordan had. They manufactured enemies even when they weren't there, and
Exactly.
so. That's really a question that every day I'm trying to answer. I don't know if I'll get an answer. Is like, is my job ultimately as a leader of men and women, as a manager, as a boss, whatever, is to get the most out of people, regardless of how I do that, within the context of like being professional in the workplace.
Right.
If it is, then I need to have multiple different styles because people respond differently. And what I found is 10 years ago, when what I call inspiration was all about them and being the best version of themselves, like 10% of the people, 20%, like, yes, I get it, but 80 be like, I don't. But then I can activate some other people that, not that way, but I could activate them through competition and just like, hey, this guy, he's gonna beat you.
Right.
Like, and if I had to guess, he thinks he's better than you, you know?
Yeah, I think it was, not sure if it was Simon Sinek or one of the books I read or Ryan Holiday, but they described a CEO as a CRO, Chief Reminding Officer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something we have to do constantly, is remind our staff of their responsibilities and hold them accountable for the things that we want them to do.
Both their responsibilities, but also remind them of their why. Why are they doing this?
Right.
Like, why are you here? Why are you, working out so hard? Or why are you working 14 hours a day in an office setting? And in many ways, those whys will evolve over time and consistently remind them of what they ultimately came here to do and why it's important to them. Because we all lose sight of that. And it changed. Like if someone's say, hey, like in real estate, my why is to make money. Well, what happens in 7-8 years when you've made money and you have some financial independence and you actually are pretty good? What's going to be your why then? Because if it doesn't evolve and you don't need money anymore, then you're going to kind of fade back to mediocrity. Mm-hmm. And so that has to evolve.
What's kept you going? Because now you have.
Yeah. So for me, there's layers, and that's what I said. Like everybody's going to have different layers that you can draw on different days, weeks, and months. Because like some days I wake up and my motivation is this, and that's all I need. But other days I'm like, that doesn't motivate me today. But like, what else? The biggest overwhelming motivator for me throughout my career, and it's still, I would say, the biggest driver, is my last name, is Matthews. It's a very famous name, and it's not because I earned that. I was born into it, and there's blessings and there's pluses and minuses that. There's doors that were open to me that shouldn't have been open, and there are doors that were closed to me that shouldn't have been closed. My grandfather played in the NFL. My uncle, my father for 19 years, my uncle for 19 years, two of my brothers, 4 of my cousins, and I didn't. And so I was the oldest of my generation. So all I knew was I was the first Matthews who had failed to go to the NFL and have a career. And so I felt like a loser. I felt like a fail. I still feel that way. Like right now, sitting here, I'm like, man, I'm really a fucking loser. Like,
really?
Oh,
you
yeah.
really feel that way?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And so,
but you're massively successful.
Yeah.
And I would frame it as business, family, home, like.
Dude, don't take away my motivation, dog.
No, I mean, I don't want you beating yourself up over there.
I beat myself up,
but
I'm good.
Never gonna let you do.
Bro, when I'm like 55, I'll get on what you're on. Dude, I'm gonna take over the world, bro. Like right now, like I'm 43. Like
you're a baby. Okay.
Yeah, see, I'm good.
I'm an old head over here.
All right, so listen.
So let's get back to your depression, all right?
My depression? No.
You just said the most depressing thing ever. You feel like a loser?
Do you want me to give you a bullshit answer?
No, I want you to be serious.
Yeah,
but for me, hearing a grown-ass successful man say that, it sounds depressing.
So it's not depressing. So I'm 22. I don't go to the NFL. Don't even come close. Like I didn't even try. Cause if I couldn't start at USC, now looking back, that was a special team, but this is how I thought at the time. I was like, I'm not even going to try the NFL because if I don't try, I didn't fail, right? But like, it's like I'm not even going to try. So I'm sitting there. It's like my first day at work in this like B-class suburban office, and like, just suit and tie in a cubicle. Like it's like the worst caricature. Like I got there, and I sat there the first day, and I said, "What the hell did I do?" And I just felt like a biggest failure, man. And I did, and a lot of that's child psychology, like growing up, I was small. So it'd be like, you're a Matthews, what happened? So it's like, it just gets ingrained in your head. And so I was like, shit, like, okay, so.
And you're the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest
boy.
The oldest boy.
So all I knew was.
But they hadn't made the NFL yet. Are you saying?
No, my dad, my uncle, my
dad,
grandfather.
everybody,
all my brothers and cousins are younger.
Okay.
So nobody.
But then they all made it. So now it really slaps you in the face. Sorry.
Not all of them.
Okay.
Not most of them. But again, so I didn't have a brother.
And then Clay looks like fucking like
motherfucker.
Thor, this motherfucker. So I'm sure that's not fun.
Yeah, well,
Look at this guy.
I'll touch on that. So the beauty of my brother
Am
and
I
my
making
cousin.
it worse or is it?
No.
Okay.
Listen, the beauty of my brother and cousin's success is it's not mutually exclusive to mine. They didn't take my position. They didn't rob me. Like so I was able to be the biggest fan for all of them. Like genuine, like when they got a sack, I felt the sack. When they won a Super Bowl, I felt like I won the Super Bowl. Like, so that was the blessing of that was I mean, there was absolutely times I wish I could have been out there with them, but their success was not mutually exclusive to mine. So I never had that. And so I'm sitting in this office and all I know is, hey, you're the first person in your family who didn't do this big thing in this industry where everybody, and I was like, oh my God, like, does that make me a loser? And again, this is how you think at 22. And I'll get to what you said. Like, I've had a lot of time to compartmentalize. I mean, you know, as you get older, especially when you start having children, you start reflecting a lot more like, well, who am I? Why am I like this? What do I want to be? And so I just said, well, if real estate's what I'm doing now, like, I'm not going to be the first Matthews who is a failure, right? I'm not going to be the first Matthews who doesn't do something great. And my first day, I set out to do something great. And it's not, again, it's not playing the NFL. And I've been around the NFL like my whole life. Like, if there's anyone who is outside of a player who's educated to speak about how being a professional athlete is not what you think it is. Right. The money's great. Fame is bad. Like I always tell my kids, don't ever be rich and famous. Be rich. Right. You don't want to be famous. Yeah. It's really bad. I see what it does to my family. I see what it does to people. Like your life changes, and I swear to God, not for the better. And so, so in that sense, it's a blessing to be rich and not famous. But I said, then I'm going to do this. And you could sit there and say, that's really sad. And that's a terrible, and dude, but like it worked for me. Right. And it got me up every morning. And even after I hit some award quicker than everyone else, I was like, dude, this is nothing. I've done nothing. Even when I became the top agent at a publicly traded company globally at 32, I was like, yeah, this is stupid. Like, even when I founded a company that scale, even to this day, I was like, yeah, it's nothing. Like, and maybe it never goes away, but dude, it works for me. And it doesn't eat me alive. Like,
it's just a motivation.
Dude, it's a great motivation.
Yeah. I have something similar because when I had the dream get taken away from me when I broke my back, that still sits with you.
To this day, you push back if I'm wrong, but you sit and watch a football game, and I guarantee you somewhere in there is like, if you didn't break your back, that would have been you.
Well, that's why I don't watch football.
Yeah, because it's too painful.
It's too painful.
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, did you watch the game? You didn't watch the game? And I can't watch football. Yeah. Like, I can't watch it. Because I actually, I'm so delusional. I literally think, like, I can do it now. You know what I mean?
No.
It never goes away. Like,
everyone. I watch the games like, dude, I could have made that play. But, dude...
And it's so silly.
I can't change. It takes me 2 seconds to change direction. But in my head. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to like my motivation, that's been overwhelming. And I've talked to my dad and he's like, dude, what are you talking about? I was like, I feel this. Right. It wasn't something he put on me. Like, definitely not brothers. Like, it just, look.
And it's still, that's your still motivator, main motivator?
It's, like I said, it's always there. Yeah. I would say I'm 43. When I turned 40, it was a very seminal moment. Like I was 40, it's just another year. But it was, swear to God, like when you turn 40, it's almost like in your head, this switch goes. Someone said to me, 40 is interesting because every year before you turn 40, it's your birthday, you look at your life looking forward. Like, what do I want my life to be? What do I want to do with my life? What are the things I want to accomplish? Like, what is my legacy going to be? But when you hit 40, it's like you turn around and start walking backwards and you look back at your life. What has my legacy been about? What have I accomplished? Like, what has my life been about? And so
for me, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Like 40 would be because I have such high expectations for where I'm trying to take what I want for my life that I'm not ready to look back because I haven't accomplished what I feel kind of, I guess, similar to you. Like, I don't feel like I'm done, like at all. Like, I feel like I'm like,
not here
just
to
touch the surface.
I'm not here to tell you how to think or live your life. Hold on to that. That's great. But for me,
no, I'm not arguing. I'm saying
for me, I was like, man, that's so interesting. For the first time, I said like, what, like, and so that definitely, I felt a change in how I'm motivated that probably at this point, most days, my primary driver, and it's going to seem like a cliche saying, and I can double click into it, is to be the best version of myself. And what that means is to maximize whatever it is I'm doing, to do it to the utmost potential ability and effort that I possibly can. And whatever the outcomes are, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a son, but as a business professional, as a CEO, there's satisfaction when you walk off the field and you go, like, whatever the outcome of the game, like, I did everything I could. I did everything. There's nothing else I could have done. And that's actually my biggest regret of college, is looking back at my career at SC, was I always did what I was told. I never missed a workout. I always showed up to practice. When I was in between the lines, I played hard, but I never did more than I had to. And I had time to. I could have watched more film. I could have trained harder. I could have taken better care of myself from eating and all that. But I was like, well, they didn't tell me. I checked my box. I did my job. And if I could go back, that's what I would do differently. Because it was the most important thing in my life, but I didn't actually approach it that way.
Right.
It was just a thing in my life. And so now, every day, whether it's training, whether it's work, whether it's just something as simple as it's Friday night, it's 7 o'clock, my little 4-year-old says, Dad, you want to wrestle? And like, I've already done something with him today. I checked my dad box. I'm a good father. I coached his team, or I did this, and I have every justification to say, no, son, no, I'm good right now. 5-10 years ago, I probably would have. Now I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Like, and so that when I crawl into bed at night, I'm exhausted, because whatever I chose to pursue that day, which is always a combination of work and family, I gave everything I had to it. And that's where my satisfaction lies today. Not in more awards or more money. I love more money. I love more awards. I love more success. I love more. That's great. But it's almost a selfish satisfaction. Like, I did everything I possibly can. The good news is results tend to correlate to effort. So the results, both professionally and personally, have generally been in my life up and to the right.
Right.
But even if we have a bad month or a bad year at the office, even if my kid's behavior isn't where I want it to be, or my marriage isn't where I want, or my friendships, or my I've given everything I can. And there's a satisfaction, there's a happiness in there. Does that make sense?
You just described no days off. So
yeah, there you go, no days off. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But yeah, I mean, that, it's funny. I was talking to my son. We were driving.
The 14-year-old?
Yeah. So I picked him up from practice, because I coached his freshman team.
Okay. And
freshman season ends, and then he just bumped to varsity. So he's got, probably 5-6 weeks on varsity. So I pick him up from practice. This is like, what's today? Thursday? This was Monday. And out of nowhere, like, getting a 14-year-old to talk to you. So I have a rule, no phones in the car. So like, I'm like, hey, put your phone away. And like, if you wait 5 minutes, like it's always funny. Like, a teenager, like, hey, Dad, did you know? Like, it's some random, but he goes, hey, Dad, do you know, like, on YouTube the other day, I Googled like Matthew's football family, and like, there was this whole video, and it had like, Grandpa and Uncle Clay, you were on there, like the football tree. And then like, they had something about me and like something about his other cousin. And he's like, yeah, it said he's a freshman in high school. I said, yep. And they're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, that there was something on me. I was like, well, son, I think what you're touching on is expectations. The reason that someone even made a video, let alone included your name, I said respectfully, because you're a freshman, you haven't done anything yet, is expectations. And you didn't ask for them. You didn't ask to be born in this family. You didn't ask for the expectations. But I said, in my experience, in my life, I have found expectations to be a net positive, and most don't. Most use them as a crutch. Like, these expectations, there's too much pressure, and there is a pressure to it. But I said that expectation got me up in the morning. That expectation drove me, especially professionally, when I really embraced it, to do something like within my industry that has never been done before. And again, to your point, I'm just getting started, man. Like, we're ripping, and we're really ripping right now. And I said, so I said, there's a line I heard. I said, there are going to be doors open to you that shouldn't be open to you, and there will be doors closed to you that shouldn't be closed. But I said, you have expectations because of your last name. And I said, you have a choice. You can either use them as a crutch and feel sorry for yourself, and that's not fair, and people have higher expectations of me because of this, and I didn't ask for this. Or you could be like, hell yeah, like these are high expectations. Not only am I going to live up to them, I'm going to surpass them. I'm going to reset the bar a whole nother level. And I said, that's going to be a choice you make. I can't make that choice for you. I'm trying to raise as mentally tough a kid as possible into a young man, and then it's on him. And just like my dad would do with me, you know? And so,
did he respond in silence, or did he have something to say about it?
He probably immediately switched the conversation, like fishing or something.
Yeah.
But no. I listen, if your messaging is consistent, while this conversation, every conversation you have with your children is generally unique, if the messaging is consistent over a long period of time, and I mean like 18 years, there's a possibility they might actually hear it.
Exactly.
You know, it's kind of like I always say, it's like if you tell your kid to brush your teeth, by the time they're 18, they finally do. Like if I talk to my kid about expectations, if I talk to him about mental toughness, like something I've done with my kids and my wife gives me credit for is it's called getting better. So whenever, I talk to my kids like, hey, you got to get better today. You got to get better. Even if you're the best, you got to get better, because your competition, whether it's in school, whether it's in sports, whatever it is always looking to close the gap, right? And we'll be driving and I'll see someone run. I was like, yo, you see that? That guy's getting better. You see that? He's getting better. And so I've heard them say, my 14, my 11-year-old, now 12-year-old, they'll just say, Dad, like, hey, can we go out and do this thing in the yard? And I go, yeah. He's like, well, I need to get better today. And that's, that's much further along than I was at 14. I was like looking to skateboard and like, try and like start a fist fight or something, like nothing productive.
Right.
And so,
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, again, getting back to what are my motivations? Like, yeah, the family thing's a big one. And I would challenge, I tell people at the office, like we go deep at Matthews, man. Like, and I'm just like, hey, like create a legacy for your family. So your kid has expectations. If I can get them to agree that expectations are actually a good thing, think about how meaningful it is to your son or daughter when they're, 20 years old and they're going to get an internship, and all of a sudden they meet someone in real estate and they're like, oh, you're so-and-so's kid? Dude, your dad was a beast. Your mom's a savage. Like, wow, all right. Hey, you got some big shoes to fill. Like, dude, that's the best thing you could ever give them. Because that, at least for me, was the greatest motivator. So a lot of people, I always say, if you plan on having children, which a lot of people do, is like, one of the best things you could give them is a great name and high expectations, because there's a better than average probability that they're going to respond and try and live up to them.
Like, touch before we wrap up. When I was at your office and in you were giving me a tour, I saw your little board and it said like worst dress and like some of that. Talk a little bit about your work culture and some of the things you do to maintain that.
So
I thought that was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, so do we. That's why we do it. So we have, agents are ranked, and again, agents are independent contractors, so you could do a little more than with a W-2 employee. So there is some HR aspect to this, but with an agent, we have a little more liberty. And so, there's agent rankings, there's income. You don't put their income up, but it's like, hey, here are the top 10 agents in the office, and there's 50 agents. And like, they're like, oh man, I'm number 8. Like, that guy's number 6. I don't like him. I'm going to be, again, competing.
Yeah.
And
a little friendly competition.
Again, like I said, I gotta activate these guys somehow. But we don't, like, one of the big things in Matthews when I founded it is, I remember when I was walking out to practice one day, I was like a junior or senior at SC, and this is where my head was at. It tells you how off I was, like just how much I misunderstood my love of football, or like the opportunity to put on the USC jersey and even practice, let alone possibly play in the game. I'm walking out to practice. It's 2 days. It's camp. It's hot. It's like 2:00 for the second practice. And I made this comment, and the strength coach at the time, Chris Carlisle, was there. He was a great strength coach. And I said, I can't believe we have to be out here again. It's just like, just that negative attitude. Like, when you're 20 days into camp. No, it was just that
I
day.
was never that guy.
I know you weren't. Like, I know
Sorry.
you weren't. Yeah, you're like, yo, bro.
I'd be the one that slap you upside the head.
Yeah, you're like,
let's go.
Yeah, you're like Cam Scattaboo before he came around. Like, let's go. Again, that wasn't like generally me. It was just one of those days.
Yeah.
Like it was 20 days into fall camp, right? And And again, the guy ahead of me was so good. I had no prospect to start. I'd like immature. If I could go back, I'd slap that guy, right? I'd slap that version of myself. I'm not, I would do things differently. And he heard it. He's like, what do you mean you have to be out here? You get to be out here. Like, it's a privilege. Like, you get to be. And in that moment, every bone in my body, every strand of my DNA was like, no, you're wrong. Like, what do you mean you get to be out? Dude, it's 2:00. It's hot. It's the summer. All my friends are at the beach. I've already practiced today. These guys are huge. And like, I'm sore. Like, everything on the surface suggests, like it's a chore. You get to be out here. Only now that I'm 43, I was like, wow, what a privilege. Dude, I would do it to play high school football, right?
Yeah. Were you at the holiday party? So I did a holiday party, and I gave everybody shirts that said, upside down, I get to do this. So when they looked down, it said it, it read to them.
I get to do this.
Because you don't have to be here. So you don't have to do this. You get to do this.
Again, when youth is wasted on the young, immature mindset, I have to be here. And that always stuck with me because, like, over time, I was like, oh my God, he was so right. Like, it was such a privilege. And if he's listened to his Coach Carlisle, you're absolutely right. And so,
USC, man. Put on that
cardinal gold, baby. Yeah. And so when I founded Matthews, I had that lesson, or I'd already learned that lesson. So I was all about, like, I get to versus I have to. And what I wanted Matthews to be was Sunday night. Like, we all have the Sunday blues, right? I get it. Like, and you're just like, okay, there's most companies, most jobs, most places of work is like, yeah, I have to go to work tomorrow. Right. I have to go. That's what most people say. At least that's my understanding, okay? I wanted Matthews from, like, being at the office, like, I get to go to the office tomorrow. I get to work tomorrow. And so much of that, there's a compensation question in there. Like, you hope that they're making tons of money. But a lot of that has to do with the social dynamic. And so that's why we have it, high competition, high pace. There's a lot of work. Those agents are in early, they stay late, they work hard. Like, I have phenomenal teammates, phenomenal culture in that sense. Work culture is intense. But we try and keep it loose. And that's really based on my experience as a college football player, where at SC, I can't prove this. We practiced harder. We went more intense, but Pete Carroll always kept it loose, and he always kept it fun. Right. And that was a big takeaway. So that's what we do. We have, like, a worst dress list. We have, like, we rank agents by most vacation days. Even though
I saw that one. That was awesome.
Most vacation days. Like, and as far as I know.
PTO.
Yeah. So the thing with agents, because they're independent, like, they don't have vacation. They could take a vacation day, but, like, we'll, like, loosely rank them, and it's just us saying, like, you're getting soft, and it's up to them. Some people are like, they don't care, and they're like, yeah, I take the most vacation days because I'm the number one agent. But some people are like, I don't want to be on that list, and we try and find that balance of always, maintaining professionalism and making sure people are valued and love where they work, but, like, having fun, and so. If you're easily offendable, I'd say Matthews probably isn't the best place for you. Like, but we're pretty PG in that sense. Like, but, like, no, we're gonna have a fun time. We're gonna rib each other and keep it loose. If there was ever a moment that I felt somebody or something was, like, a little over, or like, hey man, we don't touch on that. We don't talk about that. But we've never had those issues. So. And the number one thing, whether it's agents who've been at Matthews for years and, they're like, I love being here, and the economics are great and the support's great, but they just consistently reference the culture. Like, just, it's like, it feels like their team, like their teammates. What do you miss most about Auburn or SC is, like, my teammates, the locker room.
Right.
And so, and then one of the biggest drivers of people at other companies when they've joined, they've reached out and say, hey, I may want to make a move. They say, hey, my office is dead. Nobody's here. Nobody shows up to work. It's all work from home, or, like, the people are here. Nobody cares. It's just a place they work. Like, I'm looking for something that it's more than just about dollars. It's like people, like, really want to build relationships, build personal relationships that will last much longer than the, 5, 10, 15 years they work together. And so that's that. Outside of, like, the actual decision making as an executive for the company, I'd probably spend more time thinking, worrying, and then acting on what the culture is and how we can consistently make sure it stays strong and better and improve than anything else. More than, like, our decisions about technology investments, more than our decisions about training and systems and acquisitions or anything. We spend more time thinking about the culture than anything.
Well, we're going to end with that because That was perfect. Appreciate you doing this, man.
No, thanks. That was great.